Hello, darlings. Hi, happy Thursday. Hi, everyone. How you doing? Well, come along now, children. Let us come together. Let us see what's going on here. I want to make sure that I'm doing. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. I can see myself. That's always a good sign. Hopefully, the sound is okay. Hi, Debbie. Good evening to you. Snowy in Michigan. It was 33 degrees this morning in beautiful downtown Portland, Oregon, and I felt the frost. I woke up and saw. So we're getting real close to being able to get some snow over here as well. But dry out there, but nice and cool. I did get out briefly, and then I came running back. I'm not a fan of the cold. I do prefer the cold. Now, that's a good thing for us to start talking about while people find their way back to the stream, Debbie. What do you prefer? Do you prefer the hot or the cold? I prefer the cold. If you've got to experience something, if you've got to experience the cold or you've got, extreme heat or extreme cold, which would you prefer? For me, I would always rather have extreme cold, because if it's extreme cold, you can light a fire, you can put on a blanket. But if it's extreme hot, it takes a tremendous amount of energy just to cool it down. You need air conditioning and ice, and oh, it's horrible. I don't like extreme heat. The Northeast, and being you hate being cold? Well, Debbie, what about if you were in Arizona and it was 127 degrees or something, like, that can kill somebody. Whereas if it's really, really, really cold, that can be dangerous too, but you can always add heat, right? I mean, seniors that can't afford heat, that's kind of depressing in the winter, but yeah, so hopefully everyone is doing well. Welcome. Everybody can join us. Take a seat. Be sure and like and subscribe the stream. We're here on Hot Topics Thursday, talking about everything that is going on in the world. It's always up to you folks, whatever you folks want to talk about on Hot Topic Thursdays. There's a lot going on. There's a manhunt. Of course, police are trying to find the man who killed the CEO out of New York, the assassination out of New York. That's a big thing that's going on right now. John Roberts is leading a charge to ban trans care and surgeries. I think the case that they're reviewing is in the state. Is it the state of Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken? Some of you probably know more about that than I do. What else is going on in the world we can talk about? Russia has run out of soldiers. And the North Koreans didn't do a very good job. They ran away. They didn't really have training in war. They only had training in how to keep their own people in North Korea. So there have been a lot of North Koreans that have either been killed or have abandoned the war, which is kind of interesting. So that's what's going on in Russia. Also, there's some interesting things going on in France. There's a kind of a civil war going on. It looks like the prime minister has been removed, if I'm not mistaken. We can talk a little bit about that. Yeah, so there's a lot going on. The Canadian elections, we talked about that in our recent video. We wanted to touch on that. There was a 7.8 magnitude earthquake off the coast of Northern California. Thank God nobody was hurt. We were picking up some vibrations on that yesterday, and I wasn't quite I knew it was on the West Coast California area because I could feel it. I wasn't quite sure if anyone was going to get hurt. So thank God it looks like nobody was hurt from that. I'm one of the rare people who can feel and sense earthquakes and hear them. There's I think a few of us that can have that ability. So when I do hear them, usually we have a couple of hours to get a heads up. I hear a piercing noise in my ears when the pressure is being released. This is a real phenomenon. They've noticed some people can hear earthquakes. This is why our animals freak out. They can actually hear the high pitch sound that's given off. They say more women can than men because I have that ability. But anyway, so my ears were going off the day before, so I had a feeling that, and it went on for a very long time. I sensed the piercing sound of that comes to me when there's going to be an earthquake, but it went on for a really, really long time. I was like, ooh, that's going to be a doozy. Sure enough, 12 hours later, we got a 7.0. So, but looks like looks like the quake was called the tsunami alert, and no one was hurt. That's always good news. So how are you all doing? How are you doing? Hi, David. Jay, good to see you. Oh, you lived in Michigan where it's 20 below? You'd rather live in the cold, Christy? Yeah, because who doesn't want a roaring fire and to sit there and you're all wrapped up in a nice blanket and you're looking at the fire and, you know, that, it's just not that bad, right? There are ways to deal with the cold. You can layer, you can build a fire, when it's hot, if your air conditioning goes out, you're screwed. That's why I think it's a really good idea to have basements or underground dwellings, particularly in areas that have extreme heat, because you could always go like underground to escape the heat, which is what animals do. It seems like we should have underground bunkers just to deal with global warming, where we can go and get below the heat. But it is scary that the heat is so strong that plants are not able to survive in that heat, and neither are some animals. So it's kind of disturbing to see how global warming is impacting wildlife. Okay, so I think we will go ahead. We'll do the Empass prayer, and then we can go ahead and do some blitzes. Other things in the news, it looks like Elon Musk request to take out 50-something billion in payments was denied out of Delaware. Regarding Musk and the issue of bankruptcy, it's interesting because he's told people that do the Cybertruck not to come to work for a few days, and it may be that there was an error in the Cybertruck where it's not doing well in the snow, and it was Musk design. So it was a major error when they developed the Tesla truck because it doesn't handle the snow very well. And so who are they going to blame? Of course, they're going to blame Elon Musk. Well, he's from South Africa. What does he know about driving in the snow? He doesn't. So it was just not part of his. It was just not part of his worldview. So I mean, I just don't think this is the problem, right? So a lot of people were complaining that they had no visibility in the snow, and nobody wants to buy Tesla also because they're making a political statement. So what's happening is that Tesla's in trouble, and in addition to Tesla being in trouble, everybody's leaving X, and the worth of X has dropped to being only like a fourth of its value when it was initially, well, maybe better than that, when it was initially purchased by Musk. And so people want to know, is there a possibility that Musk could go bankrupted from his crazy political stuff that's going on? Because when you have an operation that's as large as the operation that Musk is trying to maintain, and they're all paying for each other, it takes billions of dollars just to sustain the operation that Musk has. And so when people are not buying Tesla and when people are not going on X and using X, it's a huge, it means that there are billions of dollars in revenue that's missing, that is not going to be there to fund this massive operation that Musk is running. And at that point, could he be facing bankruptcy on some of his businesses? And I think that's absolutely true. But what I would say is that when you put yourself in the shoes of somebody like Elon Musk, you're thinking about what you can do in order to get as many government contracts as possible. So basically forcing Americans to buy your products under government contracts so that you don't go bankrupted. So I have no idea that he's going to be pushing for more Tesla contracts and more Boxable contracts because of his relationship with Boxable. He's probably going to try and get Americans to buy Boxables for FEMA, etc. Because this is a guy who's going to want to get his money back, and if he can get those government contracts, it can prevent him from going bankrupt. Because without the government stepping in and buying Elon Musk stuff, it's very likely he could go bankrupt. Don't you think? Yeah. Hi, Simon. Can we please speak on Pluto entering Aquarius? Well, we can definitely do some blitzes. There's a lot going on. As many of you know, Aleppo has fallen to the army that is the pro, I guess it would be pro-Saudi army that's going after Assad. Looks like the collapse of Syria is happening right now, which is interesting. We have Assad hanging out with his buddy. It looks like he ran off to Russia to hang out with Putin. It doesn't look so good. The East doesn't look so good. So you could ask yourself, is the East just trying to hang on for a couple more months until their friend Trump comes in and rescues them? Because again, always about trade routes and whether or not they can get their trade out. And that's what it was always about. It was always a trade war. It doesn't surprise me now that Trump is talking about tariffs. I was asked if there were going to be tariffs in Canada. If conservatives, pro-Trump conservatives, get into Canada, it could save you from tariffs. As much as they don't like the fact that Canadians are probably getting a conservative president, the good news is that you're probably not going to have the same problems with tariffs that other countries are, because if he's a buddy of Trump, well, he's not going to put tariffs on Canada because those are our buddies. Those are our MAGA buddies. I don't know what the reason is, but it looks like Canada's future financially is great for the next 6 years. And I think, and a lot of it had to do with just they have a lot of contracts going forward for construction of new housing. There was some natural gas contracts I saw coming out. So I actually saw financial stability and wealth over Canada in the coming 6 years, coming out of kind of a funk and inflation that they'd had in the past. And I think that's true globally as well as we come out of COVID and we recover from what happened with COVID. Thank you, by the way, for that donation, Simon. Yeah, so even though we are, not necessarily happy, some of us are conservative that watch the channel. To each his own. And a lot of people are happy about a conservative government coming into Canada. I would say about 15% of the people that watch me are Republican, moderate Republicans. We don't get MAGA here, but we do get conservatives. I have a few Canadian conservatives that have joined the channel. And, normal people that just don't want physical spending, or for whatever reason, they felt like things had gotten out of hand and they want things to be a little bit more conservative in the spending. But I don't know if it's because of how the government is set up in Canada, which is very different than how it's set up in the United States. We have multiple parties, etc. But you folks do a great job. The next 6 years is quite. What I will say to you, if you're in Canada, is you're in good shape. Regardless of who's in power, you guys are not initially. There's a huge civil war breaking out in the next couple of weeks because you had a tower moving into your near future in the 6th house when we did the cards on it. So it's going to be crazy in the couple of weeks. But if you're talking about long term for Canada over the next 6 years, it's great cards. Excellent cards. Both for Four of Wands is like new construction. You had new construction over you, and a year's worth of just great success. Hi, LMA Bellinger. She was one of the people that wanted us to do a deep dive on Canada. And Canada's future is great. So let's not get wrapped up in whether or not a conservative. It's all about whether or not we can work together, like they are in Canada, to come up with sensible laws. And so maybe Canada will be able to show us how to do it in the United States, because it's so contentious in the U.S. and it looks like it starts off contentious in Canada, but then people are able to work together in ways that are going to be very productive over there. And I think it has to do with the fact that the conservative is going to win with 41%, and that's that's not a lot. And so there's still this strong liberal lobby that's able to control for what a conservative would do in Canada, whereas we have power too centralized, I think, in the United States with two parties. And so for that reason, maybe we're not as fortunate as the Canadians. But yeah, Canada's future looks great. If you're in Canada, take a sigh of relief. You will get through this conservative government, which is probably coming in, and you're going to be just fine. Don't worry. Don't worry. And you're probably not going to have tariffs, because Trump would never give tariffs to he wants to make the head of Canada happy because he wants allies. So I didn't see tariffs over Canada. And just to let you guys know who are worried, I saw if you're in Canada, everything's great. Everything's great. You're going to be just fine. All right, let's go ahead. We're going to do the Empass prayer. If you would like to receive a prayer, a healing from me, please let me know your name or the name of somebody you love who needs a healing, and we will send you some good vibes. So we'll do the Empass prayer, and then we will also send spiritual healing to anybody who needs a healing at this time. Hopefully we've got enough light here. Let me make sure everything's okay. I go in and out with, they're having some problems over here in downtown Portland. I keep getting knocked out of my, Verizon. Is it Verizon? No, it's Comcast. So supposedly I'm paying for like the most expensive 5G or whatever, and it's always conking out and knocking me out. So yeah. All right, let's get some names. Let's give some people some healings. Let's put some positive energy in here. Thank you everyone for being here. It looks like there's plenty of us here right now to hang out and blitz away. Yeah, great to see you all. Let's get started. Let's do the Empass prayer. Let's send some beautiful healing out there, shall we? Getting the names of all the wonderful people that are going to receive some beautiful positive energy. And when we pray the Empass prayer, we pray for our own healing, but we also want to direct it towards those people that need special support today. Okay, let's do it. Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together collectively as a community, we say, Amen. And for those of you who requested a healing at this time for yourselves and your loved ones, we pray that this loving healing energy descend and envelope and heal those who require healing. We send healing to all of you who are in need of healing. Nathan, John, LMA, Marlon, Tim, Marianne, Laurel, Barbara, Chris, and everyone else who needs healing at this time. May you be healed in mind, body, and spirit. May you know that you are loved. May you know that you are safe. And may you know that you're part of a community that genuinely cares about you and understands that you matter. We send you our love and healing. We send love and healing to 11 and to everyone who's here today. And together as a community, we say, Amen. Amen to all of you. And God bless you all. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you for letting me have the space to create such wonderful energy with you. That was much, much appreciated. Thank you for letting me do that. Okay, so I want to make an announcement, my loves. We have a beautiful new book. This is the book. Can you all see this? We have a book of the month club. We get together on Tuesdays. It would be great if you could all join us. It's during Taco Tuesdays with Chuck Dransfield. But for Christmas, for the holidays and Hanukkah, we wanted to do Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. We wanted to do something that was about family and relationships. And we chose Rolodex by Richmond Burton. Richmond, please reach out to me. I got a nice letter there from you so that we can schedule your interview for the show, probably sometime before January 1st, but maybe we'll do it after January 1st. It's about a group of friends in Soho, New York in the 1990s. I just love that part of the world. And yeah, I think you'll really enjoy it. If you have written a book, if any of you are writers, anybody here a writer? Anybody self-publish? Yeah. We are promoting independent writers here on our channel, people that have not yet been discovered that we want to support. If you write in genres that have to do with, well, we like metaphysics and healing and positive stories, both fiction and nonfiction, you can send a copy of your work to Whimsy Anderson, care of 1819 Southwest 5th Avenue, Suite 116, Portland, Oregon, 97201. That address is below, and then maybe you can appear on Taco Tuesday as one of our writers. Thank you. Okay, I gotta get some water. I swear I'm having a hot flash. Cheers, cheers, cheers. Well, the cop has passed. The cop has like 90% gone. I had my moment of grief. I am a typical Democrat. When we lose an election, we don't beat our wives. When we lose an election, we don't get no, what we do is we buy some marijuana, we crawl into a yurt, and we play our acoustic guitar for a month or so. And that is precisely, as you know, what I've been doing. I've been smoking the demon weed, hiding in my yurt, and playing sad folk songs because, gosh darn it, I am a blue blood Democrat. What can I tell you? So we don't want to be self-destructive as Democrats, but if you have been where I have been in the last couple of weeks, you know that is just what we do. And it has passed. I'm over it. I have put it aside. I don't like drugs, to be honest with you folks. Remote viewers do use. See, HCRV people use cannabis. A lot of the HCRV people use it because it's you know why HCRV people use cannabis is because heart-centered remote viewing started with cannabis in China 8,000 years ago or whatever, right? So, but the Chinese used to smoke cannabis for HC. It's true. So I don't judge any of you out there that are doing it who are remote viewers. I heard that there are remote viewers in the state of California because I know some of the people that own dispensaries in California. Some remote viewers are taking 250 milligrams or higher of THC or extremely high dose edibles in order to break out of the simulation and remote view. And some of the high dose THC consumers are professional remote viewers. And so one of the guy was saying that he was shipping 250 milligram capsules, getting it to remote viewers all over the world because the dosage of THC was so high. And so they literally leave their body and they're scanning the Earth's surface and whatnot on these extremely high dosages of THC, which I guess is one of the original reasons why the plant was created. But so I don't judge other people. I have been there. I do not judge you. If you're in that category, I don't judge you. But I personally, I'm going a la natural. From here on in, I got to go a la natural. Yeah, gummies. Yeah, you go into a dispensary after the Democrats have lost an election, and it's like, you can hear people weeping as they're grabbing the blue dream or whatever. I don't know. It's just, what can I tell you? It's a blue state. L'chaim, everyone. I'll be honest, I cannot remote view a deep trance as effectively if you do an edible and if you're doing trance like mantra music and you're doing it properly and you're taking an edible and you're praying and you're doing mantra music and then you go into trance and then you're doing soul travel, spirit walks, you're going to be able to do more of that on something like THC than you would be able to do without THC. It takes a tremendous amount of training for a regular person to go into that level of trance without assistance from a plant teacher. And that's why so many shamans use plant teachers, cannabis being one, cactus. There are other plant teachers that are used for spirit walks. Ayahuasca is used for spirit walks. If you're trying to get into the realm of the dead, people will use that. DMT, 5-MAO, which is from the toad, which is even stronger than the DMT, is also used. There's some snuffs, some hallucinogenic snuffs that they've used. Psilocybin mushroom has used for spirit walking. Psilocybin is used by healers, shamans in Mexico and other areas, the mushrooms, in order to spirit walk and diagnose disease. So yeah, shamans do use plant medicine all over the world. And that's one of the risks, they say, if you go to Peru, is you'll see some shamans will become drug addicts because they're just doing too much. And so, whereas if you look at the Dalai Lama, if you look at the teachings out of the traditional schools of the Dalai Lama, his feeling is you don't try and do it if you are disciplined enough in the meditation, you'll be able to break through and enter into these worlds without the use of any plant medicines. But it takes a lot of meditation to be able to do that, I think. Yeah. Isn't that cool? The world is teeming with fascinating things. All right, so we're ready to blitz away. Please go ahead and leave your questions below, and we'll go ahead and answer them. Any questions you might have about what's going on in the world. It looks like Simon has a question for us. He would like to know what Pluto entering. Can we please speak on Pluto entering Aquarius? Well, isn't Pluto associated with death? What is Pluto associated with? Let's go ahead and throw some cards. I don't really know what Pluto entering Aquarius means, but we can go ahead and look and see if Spirit has an answer about Pluto entering Aquarius. What does this time mean? Yes, chanting and music and mantras. Those are great ways to enter into trance without the use of any kind of a drug or anything, would be repetitive beats and drums. And that's what the Dalai Lama uses. His community is the chanting. Yeah, rather than LSD man, LSD man. He calls them, the Dalai Lama calls them LSD men, LSD man, LSD man. Like, not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just that he feels like it limits you. You'll be in the arms of cannabis, and there's other worlds to see besides the realm of cannabis. So that's the argument, which I think is kind of interesting. Okay, so let's do this. The age of Aquarius, Pluto. According to these cards, the first thing we will see, Simon, is everybody wants justice. There is this, everybody thinks that they can fix it. For example, everybody says that, well, Democrats are out of control with their spending, so we need the Republicans to take over, even though Trump was more disastrous for the budget than the Democrats. The two biggest spenders on the budget were Bush Jr. and Trump, right? They're the biggest people to be responsible for our present deficit. But if you're asking me about this energy you go into with the age of Aquarius and Pluto going into Aquarius, everybody thinks that they've got the answer, and it's the time of justice. There is a feeling what we share with Republicans, MAGA, is that everybody feels like there's been an injustice and we want justice. And so based on how much information you have, and we all may have biases, but everybody has this feeling like we want justice and we want justice now. And the opposition to that is 10 of Cups. There could be people that are just high on the hog, they're just living their life how the opposition is happy and content. So we may find ourselves living in two worlds, in the sense that you have those who have and those who have not. So you have one group that's fighting for justice, and you have another group that's doing just fine. The Trumps of the world are making a fortune because they're taking our money. You look at somebody like Jared Kushner, who got $900 million to be a consultant for the Abraham Accords. Why was he handed $900 million or however much it was? That's insane. The hope and the fear that everybody has is the changing times, because if you look at what the meaning of the Eight of Wands is it's rapid change, that things are happening. I don't know what's happening. It's like a ride. We're on a ride right now. We're on a crazy ride and we don't know what's coming. You ever seen those crazy rides and then they go into a haunted house? Oh my God, get me the hell out of here. And I don't want any of these spooky things touching me, right? You just you don't want the skeleton to touch you, or whatever. Eight of Wands is that quick, and it can be a little disruptive. And so there is this feeling as we go into the Pluto entering an Aquarius, of it being a kind of everybody wants justice. There's the haves and the have-nots, and you also have this energy of just rapid change where people don't know what's coming. And then the final outcome is good stars lay for the country. So despite all of you got to have a sense of humor about it. So while we all argue and hammer out what we think is right and best, Spirit is begging the American people and people all over the world to try and have a sense of humor and to understand that even if you're disagreeing with someone, they may not have the information that you have. Or vice versa. And so it's important to communicate. But there's a star here, which could indicate a very good omen. It's quite auspicious for the future of the United States. And I saw great things for production it's not, I would expect the cards to be more horrible than the cards have been. It's pretty hard to give a negative spin on the star, right? Because the star is such a positive card, and it has to do with receiving anointing or blessings from Spirit. Also, we see justice. Justice you shall pursue. So people have this energy for justice in the coming days. The clarification over that the man, the businessman, justice over the businessman. So we could be seeing that for whatever reason, despite the fact that people in high positions of power, corruption, etc., are getting away with murder, for some reason, there's prosecutions happening of the businessman, and that's not going to be stopped even if Trump is in power. So the DOJ is doing its job because the businessman faces justice. What's scary about the assassination of the CEO of United Healthcare is it felt as if it was justice being meted out by forces that we don't even necessarily understand. Was it a red flag operation? Was it really about, was it an assassination because of a divorce? Was it an assassination? And did they put fake things on the casings just to make us think it was about what was going on in United? Was it really about something else? The cards I saw is it was really about that. The opposition, again, we're going to have to go around we have to work on a local level more in the coming years, in the sense that we may see a lot of resistance higher up. But if we refuse to buy products, if Tesla sees we're not going to buy your products anymore, if we're not buying Tesla, if we're not engaging in X, if we're simply going off and building our own world somewhere else, Four of Cups, no thank you, I don't want this, then by design, you cannot force us to buy your product. Even if you have government contracts like those crappy FEMA houses that they sold, independent companies will get contracts and it will be expensive but not necessarily good products. This resistance is kind of like people are going to be making statements with their pocketbooks. If the product is not good, we're not going to purchase it, and that puts pressure on the business world to have to clean itself up. Like in the case of if your insurance is not good, it is cheaper for you to get on a plane and go to Malaysia, where I'll be next month. I can get a full physical with everything from top to bottom is $750. And when we talk about a physical, we're talking about density scare, your bone density, mammograms, complete cardiac workup, checking your heart system. So people say it's cheaper to fly and get treatment in Thailand or Malaysia, where I'm headed. I'm going to get checked from top to bottom. I'm going to do the $800 thing, and where they actually go in and look at every single artery and everything. That's would cost you thousands of dollars in the US. So why not go to beautiful Malaysia, stay at a nice 5-star hotel, play some tennis and swim, if you're going to have to get a physical checkup like that, and then you come back, you've spent $3,000 for a 2-week vacation in Malaysia, and you have all your medical records, right? So you have everything taken care of. That's how expensive the US is. People would rather go vacation in Bangkok and get treatment. And maybe that's what Americans have to do. Four of Cups, man, I am done. I'm done. I'm signing out. And we also see more Americans leaving the United States. That tells me that the business world faces a justice of they can't get customers. You can't force us to buy your products. And then the hopes and fears about this rapid change. Remember, Eight of Wands is always about rapid change. The devil is about codependency, addiction to pharmacy, right? You're going to take those drugs. Not only are you going to spend way too much for your health insurance that doesn't necessarily do anything, but then instead of getting you well, we're just going to push a bunch of drugs because of the profits that are being made by the drug companies that are lobbying political groups. And so it's almost would be better, again, to hop on a plane, go to save your money, have no insurance at all. And if you're spending $500 a month on insurance and not getting anything, why not just save your money and then once a year take a nice vacation to Malaysia and get a full workout there for $3,000, and then you won't be spending $10,000 on your health insurance, spending $3,000, and you'll get better care. So that it's that kind of a feeling. Devil in the is hopes and fears. That can be drug addiction, sex addiction, also. So it's almost as if they are that the system makes Americans addicts. I would say also that this new administration coming in, they've kind of made RFK Jr. out to be a quack, which is a shame because he does do some good work. And one of the things, even though you may not agree with everything, like I support vaccination, and I think that's crazy that people don't support vaccination, but I do believe that pushing drugs that people don't need rather than recovery or treating the cause, which is what RFK Jr. is talking about, the fact that he's a big proponent of naturopathic medicine. I am a naturopathic doctor. I'm not feeling like this new Trump administration is the old at all because so many Democrats are in his new administration. Now, do you think that MAGA is happy with that? Of course not. Oh my God, it's all Democrats. Elon Musk was a registered Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat, RFK Jr. So they come in with these ideas, and a lot of it has to do with affordable health care. Is this the same? So do we have the same group of people coming in that we had in the past? No, it's a very different group of people now with Trump. And so it's a different rhythm. It's a different energy. And probably corporate Democrats is what you would call them. A lot of corporate Democrats. But the fact that, again, I just can't read this as negative for the future of the United States, because the final outcome is the Nine of Cups, which is the wish has been granted, and also the Star. So again, it's not the same presidency. This is the presidency where wealthy Democrats bought the Republican Party, and now we will see civil war in the Republican Party. Wealthy Silicon Valley Democrats that had defense contracts with the United States have basically bought the Republican Party and bailed them out for hundreds of millions of dollars, and they're going to have their personal needs met. But they also come with some progressive ideas like RFK Jr. that could ultimately be good for the country, and possibly a different energy than what we saw. You have to admit, it's pretty bizarre that he's surrounded himself with a bunch of former Democrats. And so the energy feels very different, because this is California intellectuals, wealthy California intellectuals, and they're going to get their money worth. They've given him hundreds of millions of dollars, and they intend on having their needs met. One of the things they're going to want is they're going to want more defense contracts for Tesla and Starlink, SpaceX, etc. But in addition to that, we could see some positive influences in the way of economic incentive. And when I go into this energy, I feel there's a lot of environmental contracts. This goes into this idea that I had talked about in the past, where when I've had visions of Texas going green, and I had a vision that the cattle industry would go belly up in another 20 years in Texas, and that it would be replaced by lab meat. And I think that Elon Musk is going to be one of the pioneers that's going to pay billions to start producing Texas lab steaks, because the party's over, right? But when you continue to let yourself be carried into the future of Texas, it's all green. It's just a forest, and there's rain, and a lot of that, I believe, is because of the tech wizards that came in and bought the Republican Party. So, yes, it's horrible. I don't want to make it out like it isn't, but it is not the same party second term because of the people involved. Yeah. Good question. And certainly some things that we can think about. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can go to Panama. I might go to Panama in the future too. It's just that I'm on my way to Malaysia in January. I wanted to see Malaysia, and then I heard about they have a hospital there which it'll look at literally every single artery. It'll look inside your brain, imaging everything. For $800, you spend the entire day there taking, it's like medical tourism, but they say it's 5-6 hours. You spend the entire day there, and it comes with a voucher for their cafeteria because you have to, you're literally there all day in a robe, getting blood draws, getting CT scans, getting your cardiac workup, getting everything. It just goes on for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. So they give you a voucher. You can go have lunch and then come back and run another test. So I'm going to do it because I'm never going to have this chance again, probably. And just find out, just how healthy am I? Probably not because I eat American food, but it's a shame that Americans literally have to leave the country, Mexico or some other country, to get health care because we've literally been priced out of the American health care. Oh my God, Terry. I'm so sorry. Your son had to go to Bangkok to get treated for a medical condition they won't even acknowledge. Yeah, I mean, America used to have great health care. What happened, right? It's certainly the most expensive in the world. Yeah. What's nulling a Montessori school in Central Texas? I don't know what that means. Disagree with no healthcare? No, we need healthcare. We just, but insurance companies are not healthcare. That's the point. Insurance companies want to block you from healthcare so that they can take the money for themselves. That's not healthcare. They're not run by healthcare. It's just a company that's trying to make money off. There's health insurance companies don't serve a purpose. They have no purpose. In the olden days, once a year, you would go to the doctor, you'd get a checkup. Then they would treat you, and then you would pay them money. Thank you, doctor. Here's the $50. See you next year. And that would be it. And then the next year, well, I'm coming to get my checkup. Well, I got the diabetes. Here's your prescription. See you next year. So nobody's saying you should, of course, you need to see your doctor once a year, have your checkups. All of that's important. What the problem is that it has nothing to do with with insurance companies. Insurance companies I'm not going to join. Are we frozen? Am I frozen? Oh, did I freeze? Says that I'm okay. Maybe you froze. I didn't freeze. Okay. Yeah, so I think that's what people. Oh, interesting. Sandy was saying something about the astrology, why these cards came in the way that they did was because Vedic astrology says Pluto and Capricorn government explains upheavals, which would explain the Eight of Wands and that energy that we're feeling right now. Oh, steroid withdrawal. That sounds horrible. Makes sense because it can have a huge impact on your adrenals because it can suppress your. We can see the adrenals shrinkage and inactivity of adrenals because if you're giving cortisol or something like that. So that might explain that. Yeah. Okay. So going on to the international news, people are kind of wondering what's going on internationally all over the place. Crazy things are going on. We have Syria, it looks like is collapsing. What do y'all think about this? You guys keeping up with this? And Assad is headed, looks like Assad wound up leaving the country. Do you guys think that the East is collapsing? Eastern Washington? Oh, no. I don't want 105 degrees. No. I don't like extreme heat. All right, so we're going to go ahead and take a look. We know that Aleppo has fallen, and they're moving closely to Damascus, and we're just going to see what's going to go on. Are we going to see the collapse of Syria? Oh, Phoenix Rising. Well, it definitely looked like that in the cards. Okay. Syria's future with Assad. Seven of Wands. A desire to fight back, a desire to defend one's territory. I think he's losing. Look at that. Seven of Wands would also mean a feeling of being surrounded, right? His world is getting smaller. I think he's going to lose it. I don't, it's crazy. You think about how long the Assad family has had control over Syria since what, 1963 was it? Was it 63? And maybe 64, something like that. 63, 64. Seven of Wands, that I am going to defend my territory no matter what. No one's going to come and take my land from me. But if he's already had to flee, the opposition star. The opposition is so I would say that if his opposition is the sun, then I would say that they're feeling very optimistic. This military is feeling very optimistic that they can take Syria. Yeah, because the eighth house is your obstacle. It's the environment of the other, usually one's opposition. So they're doing great. They're doing awesome. He's the one that's having to defend himself. The hope and the fear, getting out of there. Trying to get out of there. The final outcome for Syria. We can see some more poverty for Syria. Five of Pentacles. We could see, it looks to me with this type of energy like an economic collapse of Syria. We could be looking at an economic collapse of Syria because there's no government. So the coin would be worthless. There's no government. There's no government rule. You've just got this foreign army coming in. Five of Pentacles is not good news for Syria. It could indicate more poverty for Syria. 10 of Cups coming in the future for Syria is very good. It could be reuniting of families. So in the coming years after the war ends, we could see more people returning back to Syria, people that had lived in Europe. Many of them want to go back to Syria. And this is something we see a lot with refugees. They often will not stay in their host country. Once things become stable, they want to go home, as you and I would want to go home, right? If there was civil war in Portland and I had to flee, and go to Quebec or something, right? I would want to go home. I'd want to go back to Portland, right? Because that's my home. So we have that kind of feeling. 10 of Cups is a reuniting of the family. It's a rejoicing of the family. So it may be that some of the people that fled Aleppo, that fled these areas, they didn't feel safe. Maybe they were threatened, etc. Maybe they supported the regime that was coming in. So for whatever reason, because they protested against Assad, they had to leave the country. But the 10 of Cups, again, is quite auspicious because it would indicate that there's probably going to be some kind of reuniting of the families in Syria. And the opposition was destined to happen. Again, the Assad family, his father was part of the military coup in 1963, I believe it was, and then he comes in. So it's been 60 years or whatnot of dictatorships, and that has not been good for the majority of the people of Syria. And so if you're looking at a card like the Wheel of Fortune, what it's saying is that it was destined to happen, that this was destined to happen because of everything that had happened up to that point, that revolution was inevitable. And then the hope and the fear, King of Swords, the military, the fact that there could be like a police presence, or that this could be like a kind of martial law declared, or something like that. And then the final outcome is they will be completely surrounded. Also, they won't be able to get, he won't be able to get access to his money. You can see Eight of Swords could be tied in knots. And it could also indicate that he's financially tied in knots, and it's likely that Assad will not be able to get access to his money. So we're looking at financial stress over Syria for some time, unfortunately, as a result of this. Yeah. But the good news is that once things become stable in Syria, we'll see a lot more Syrians returning home so that they can be with their family members. Because There's no place like home, right? And 10 of Cups would be auspicious for that reason. Yeah. Yeah, that Assad is in Russia. That is true. Yeah. All right. So the next question you guys asked was, how long would Putin be in power? Many of you wanted to know if he was on his way out. There's some rumors that he himself is in hiding, or that he himself is afraid at this point because he's basically collapsing. He doesn't have a military anymore. He doesn't have anybody supporting him anymore. They're even arresting 16 and 17-year-olds who are protesters. Remember, I had given you a remote, I think it was a year or so ago, where I put myself in trance, and I was trying to latch on to the energy of anybody in Russia. And as I was floating, I look for high tense emotions because I'm an empath. I look for emotion when I'm scanning. If someone's really upset, I will go to them as a remote viewer. And when I was in trance, I found myself in high school, and I found independent protest happening in the high schools where kids were part of the resistance, and they were, by the time they hit junior or senior year of high school, looks like am I still here? Looks like I lost my stream. Oh, okay. By the time they were in high school, they were already seasoned activists and were looking for a way to flee the country because they knew they were facing the draft. It was also interesting that when I saw that remote, there started to be student protest happening in Georgia when the pro-Russian Georgian government was talking about the draft. So it was kind of interesting to feel that energy before it happened, and then to see the protests starting to happen in Georgia. All right, let's go ahead and see about Putin, what his future is going to be. Thanks for being here. If you haven't had a chance to like and subscribe, it would sure help me out in promoting the channel. I'd appreciate it. Hi, Joyce. Good to see you here. 291 beautiful people here. Thank you. The future of Putin. Putin. What is the future of Putin? All right, Putin, what is going on with you? Whoa. Grieving that which he has lost. He still has some military left, but not much. By the way, because the military is so weakened in Russia, the Russians have pulled out of Syria. So the Russians are fleeing. He cannot afford to lose any more troops. He's really grieving what he's lost. Look, he's lost the majority of everything. 2 of Cups, he still has some stuff. He still has some of his ships left, right? It's not all bad. You've got some boats. You've got a few boats. Granted, they've got holes in them, but you've got boats, sinking boats. But still, they're boats. Boats are fun. Yes, it's a hole. You throw stuff into it. Yes, it's that kind of a boat because they've been sinking the boats. Yes, it's not very nice of them. Yeah, he's losing a lot of stuff. His opposition, 5 of Wands, the fight. We got to get the fight stopped, right? So his big thing is, I got to get to ceasefire. I got to get to ceasefire. There are no more men in Russia. They've either fled to Georgia or somewhere else, or they've died. So 5 of Wands. His big problem right now is the war, the fighting. My big problem right now is the war. Everybody's fighting. By the way, 5 of Wands would indicate possible civil war too. It's not just that they're fighting out there. They're fighting in here, in Russia, with each other. It's like a civil war inside the whole country, right? With the 5 of Wands. Everybody's fighting everybody. Hopes and fears. Look at this guy. He is a mess. Poor Putin. Don't you feel sorry for him? Maybe not. I don't know. And then the final outcome for Russia, Putin's Russia. Smoother waters lay ahead. So he is really thinking that they are going to, it's Trump that's going to negotiate the peace treaty. 6 of Swords is to come out of, they're probably going to get to peace. But boy, did he get wiped out. Look at that. These are terrible cards. Can you believe these cards? All right, Putin. See, a lot of people want him tried in The Hague. There he is again. Poverty. Look at this. Look at these cards. The fight, the war. Look at that. Can you believe these cards? You see me pulling them. You folks are like, we want to see you pull them. So I put the table here so people can see. Look at that. Look at Russia. Look at this. Look at Putin. Can you believe this? These are the worst cards in the card chart. And he got both of them. Look at this. Look at this. Poverty. Guy's doing terrible. These are the worst cards. Has anybody ever seen a cards worse than these in your entire life as a reader? I haven't. Theft. Fleeing with theft. They're going to withdraw from Ukraine. This is what they did. They stole from the churches. They stole from everybody. I see them fleeing and grabbing everything they can as they leave. I see the Russians retreating. Dang. Hands down, worst cards I have ever placed in the history of this channel. I just threw. I've never seen such awful cards. If there are any other readers here that disagree, bring it on, because these are the worst possible cards I have ever seen. The most negative. No, Putin has lost. It's I think that it's very obvious that they're going to have to flee, and I cannot see with these cards any hope for Russia to win in Ukraine with these cards. Yeah, that would be my assessment with the. Yeah. Wow. Can you guys? I've never seen. You know what those cards remind me of? When I did cards on Jeffrey Epstein a couple of years ago in my kitchen. I don't know if y'all remember that. And I was like, oh my God. And 3 weeks later, he was dead. And when he was talking in our ear during the remote, as we were throwing Jeffrey Epstein and we were getting cards like that, I heard myself saying, as Jeffrey Epstein, because I'm an empath, so I take on the energy of the other person, this hell will never end. This hell will never end. They're going to hunt me to the end of the day. This hell will never end. 3 weeks later, he was dead. Yeah, him and Acosta, was that the name of the guy that used to work, that helped get him off, that got fired, that was working with Trump? Yeah, I know some of you are readers. Worst cards I have ever seen in my life. Absolutely, hands down. Web Shiva, hi, beautiful. Good to see you here. Web Shiva has been with us for a very long time. The East is not collapsing. It's just reshuffling. This is the thing. Thank you, Web Shiva. I think that Russia is collapsing. I think that we really economically collapsed them with the sanctions and everything else. But China is another matter. China is in serious economic trouble right now. But the question is, will China become more powerful than the United States going forward, because a lot of people feel that once that happens, America could slide into being less powerful than China. And what would that do to the American economy when that happens? Okay, let's take a look and see about the future of China. All right, the future of China. Because they were wiped out. I mean, good God, COVID and everything else, and trade wars and everything else that's been going on with China. Crazy, crazy, crazy. China. Four of Cups, rejecting offers. Yeah, they're now denying chips to the Americans. So you know what? They're playing hard to get, in the sense that Four of Cups would be basically saying, we don't like what you're offering us financially, and so we're just not going to take the deal. Four of Cups. So we're not so broke that we will take contracts that are, the Americans are being cheap with their contracts, because this is a rejection of contracts. And I know they just turned down some chips contracts. And then the opposition, which would be the United States, is 10 of Cups. So we're actually doing great. I get the feeling when I go into this that America will become increasingly independent, with the ability to make more of its stuff in the United States, which makes them less dependent on foreign governments. Because 10 of Cups would indicate that we're kind of taking care of ourselves rather than relying on others. And then the hopes and the fears. Seven of Pentacles would indicate the money coming in, the profits, etc. And then the final outcome for China, an inverted Nine of Pentacles. They don't have their financial worth is questionable. You know, the Nine of Pentacles came inverted, which leads me to think that they've lost a lot of their savings, and whatever the national budget was, whatever the national treasury was doing in China, they've probably been drawing on their savings with a Nine of Pentacles inverted. Taking the weapons of war. They want to take control over the United States by denying them access to things which they feel are vital to the functioning of our country. Our response is an inverted Four of Wands. This could spell future tension with China in the coming days. No more building. No, it's not looking good. We're going to have to really work to get this relationship back up with China. It's looking pretty bad. Hopes and fears, High Priestess, laws, international laws, etc. And then the final outcome, the Devil. Our dependency on China could be economically devastating for the United States. We want to be as independent of China as possible, with the Devil card moving in as the final outcome. So it's saying that whatever we can do to try and be independent financially from China, the better. Because if we're purchasing from China, the money is going directly to China and to its military. And so we're basically, Americans are paying to strengthen the army of our enemy. And so for that reason, we have to really seriously consider whether or not it's a good idea for us to continue to do business with China. And the Devil would indicate a relationship of codependency, and that's not necessarily good. We would be strengthening our enemies. And for that reason, it's encouraged with these cards for us to become as independent as possible from China, rather than paying them to basically take us over. And China is looking at the long game. Yeah. Okay. Well, that was fun. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Did you guys have fun? Yeah, I can't get over those cards on Putin. Good God, I think he's finished. Those are the worst. Those cards are the same cards as when right before Jeffrey Epstein fell. Yep. Yeah. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. We've been here for over an hour, so we're going to call it quits. If you're trying to get in for a reading with me, you can book me through Booksy. That information's below. Phone readings, and then I call you, and it's real fun. I can give you a reading. All right. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. Thank you for your love and support. Thank you again for your memberships. They really help keep this channel up and running. We'll see you next time. And thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.